Trigger warning. This episode may contain content that could be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the New Earth podcast, recorded live from our vibrant New Earth cafe. Our surroundings are filled with authentic sounds and real actions, left unedited to preserve the genuine atmosphere we embody here at New Earth. Ah, it's wonderful. So how do we make it look authentic that it's the third time we're saying, hey?
Alex? Alex?
Brother,
it's
welcome.
nice to see you so much. It's been such a long time.
It really has.
And I have a gift for you. Surprise.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
My wife is crystal mad. We have crystals literally crawling out of our wall. Andorra crystals.
Okay.
You know these things? 5D crystals.
Okay, no idea.
They're like a quantum computer. So they speed up this energy, this whatever's going on inside you to manifest itself into reality. We have them by our bed. We have them sometimes in the bed with us.
Yes.
They're like children.
Give me back this one.
I know, right? But there's a power to it that if it's in the bed and one night we were having vivid dreams. I'm like, what was going on in my dreams? She goes, I had one of the crystals in the bed. I'm like, bloody Andorra crystals.
You feel it.
You know, but I really do. I never thought that way before because I grew up very skeptical thinking, and that was, I think crystals.
And now you sleep with crystals. What
now
a
we
life.
sleep with crystals.
We never know,
I
we never
mean,
know what comes next. It keeps coming.
it just, we're met with surprises. So, brother, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alex.
You do some really cool stuff. You look like a really awesome dude.
Thank you so
And not
much.
only do you look it, you even sound it. And on top of that, you got the humor. So there must be some negative that people just don't see that you keep
Yes,
aside.
absolutely.
What must that be to
What
balance
do
you
you
out?
want to know? I think it's a good point. It's like we all have like this light and darkness side of us. We wanted to talk about duality. It's a very good point. I believe that I had some kind of drive now that I didn't have before. And before I was, bathing in my darkness and wonking with it, and being very depressed with all that for a long time. And then I jumped from Wim Hof that I worked with, and I really jumped into like this light work, warrior of light, but I feel like now it's way much more balanced. I take it as it comes. I'm at peace with what God creates, and I'm love to play with both sides, and I just transcend what I believe, all my emotions, to something that is constructive. And so far, it seems to just be skyrocketing. So there is something that I do that seems to work, compared to what I was doing before, that I just did failure after failure.
Yeah.
So this is where I am at the moment.
It's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Because when you're on that journey of discovering yourself, when you feel like you're living a life but you're going against the stream, and then when you pull yourself out of a particular area and you go into another place and you go into this stream where it's going with you, and suddenly you're going, how did this happen? I mean, it seems like you're having a heck of a climb at the moment in your field of expertise.
Uh-huh.
There's this place that you seem to resonate with, which is ultimately your environment for your higher self to actually shine.
Uh-huh.
How did you come about that?
So the funny part is like when I was a child, I was like this. It's like, I'm just buzzing and I'm happy with nothing and everything, because also I love nice stuff, but also you just put me here with 2 plants and I can stay here for 3 months. I was like this when I was young. But then I lost myself when puberty came, when the ego started to become part of my being, and I started to see the reality I was with. I started to lose all that, and I lost myself. And I went into just failure after failure, disconnecting from my emotions, disconnecting from myself, from any type of spirituality. It was not even part of any discussion. So I went all into the zombie lifestyle, let's say, to make long story short.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and I'm not even proud of it, like my comeback has nothing heroic at all. I had only one guy in my family that I was loving at that time, my cousin, and he started to do breathwork with Wim as a just application. And just because I didn't want to be too alone, I wanted to be with my cousin that I really enjoyed, I started to do it with him. And then 1 expedition, then 2, then 3, then changing life step by step, a lot of crying, a lot of revelation, a lot of pain, but you know how it feels. Like it's like pain, and instantly behind is light coming up. And it's been 5 years now doing this journey, learning from Wim. I worked with him. I was part of his expedition as a leader instructor, part of his academy also last year. And I don't work with him anymore, but still I'm stepping on the shoulders of giants. And since learning from others' mentors, and here I am today, but I feel like I'm just being me and with my young wisdom. And so far it resonates with the people. But it's just me being me, and I just want to be humble on that part. It's like I just share what I know for now. Like it's, I think we don't know what we have no idea what the fuck we are doing. We are talking about duality. I strongly believe that you push here, it push back here. So anyway, people doing bad here actually may be doing good somewhere else, and vice versa.
Yeah,
That's so French, vice versa.
yeah, exactly.
Like back and forth.
But you know what? You said it there before. It's just being, which sounds so simple. But being is probably the toughest journey we could ever go on, to actually understand what being is, to get beyond all these conditions that we've been taught to believe, and who we thought we are, and what our name is, and our parents, and then da-da-da-da-da. So dissolving that
It's tough.
and just being where most people are running.
Yes.
And I think from something you were doing before you got into this, you were in the corporate world, which
Absolutely, yes.
and I've been there myself, that it is a running game,
Yeah.
We're addicted to coffee to get us through it. That then leads us to the next escapism, to the next, to the next,
Yes.
to the next. We're all running from something. We don't even know where we're running towards. So what was your story? I mean, from the corporate world, because I love hearing a corporate world,
Absolutely.
guy, what that looked like.
Okay, so let's play safe. It's like I still had long hair.
Yeah,
I
okay.
had my long hair, ponytail, and I was way fatter than that. I was like maybe 20-25 kilos more of fat mainly, drinking a lot. I was working in a corporate world that was a bit weird. It was in Malta, in the gambling industry. So
Okay.
we were, not myself, but I was one of the manager, head, but the company was holding 8 online gambling websites worldwide. And I was just managing different teams to basically ruin the life of people just by making them play more and more. Not at the end, but at the beginning when the company started, we had beer on the table. Even it happened. I don't know if the boss will be happy to hear that, but it doesn't matter. I brought them enough money we had the vodka on the table. And then we had like a lift at 1 a.m. going to the nightclub in Pacheville in Malta. And it was this lifestyle. And the worst part is like, it looks quite fancy now. It again, it sounds like Wolf of Wall Street, but it was a very cheap version of that. And the cocaine was cheap as well. Everything was cheap. There was money, but it was not something anyway glittery. It really felt like empty and sucking energy. So I did still, because your biggest strength is your biggest weakness, and of course I'm an egoistic, strong, big man. I still managed to stay 5 years doing this.
I love your determination. That's
The blindness.
yeah. Well, you know what? You were getting something out of it. It was serving you. Whatever it is you felt your soul's journey to be there, to absorb whatever you needed to come to that realization, which we'll get to then go, this is, where's this taking me? It reached that limit, obviously. So what was that moment where you just went,
Yes.
enough's enough?
So the first big breakthrough, it was, I'm touching my hair actually. I wash them, guys. I'd never washed my hair, and I'm shocked how not greasy they are.
Natural.
Yeah, I do it once a year. It's a compliment.
I do the washing for you then.
Yes, you do with just the crystal.
With the crystals, I'm going to use as my brush. Go on.
It was 9 months after I started this journey.
Yeah.
So after my first breathing session alone with my application in my home, 9 months later, I'm in Thailand. In the meantime, I left everything I had. My gambling job, my ex-girlfriend, Malta, I left it all. And after doing this, because I started to feel on my journey that it was not right, I was just leaving it all because I felt it was not right. But I had no idea where I was going, so I just crashed even more. Started to drink even more, gamble, a lot of my savings, all of them, gambled all. And I ended up with just 3,000 euros left, no job, nothing, in the shitty place in France, in the middle of nowhere. and this same cousin is calling me. He said, Ferdinand, you have to come to the retreat in Thailand. It's 3,000 euro. You have to come. Like, and I'm like, no, man, of course not. Like, I have 3,000. How come I'm going to spend 3,000 on the retreat? It makes no sense. I need to save it. And but anyway, he was very persuasive, and I came. So we spent the first week just to gamble everything we could, alcohol and whatever can come to your mind with the most remaining money we had. And then it was the retreat in Thailand with Wim. So for the second time I meet him, and I'm on this yoga mat, and I just lost it all outside. You know, when we talk about letting it go, we talk a lot about letting it go inside, but I did the work outside without knowing it subconsciously. I had nothing left. And there's this big guy, this big old man screaming in my ear, you know, like, express, feel, huh? And me, man, I feel nothing. Like, I'm so blocked. And pain starts to rise from my belly, like massive rock.
Yeah.
And I keep breathing, I keep going, you know, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up, and wow, like a bottle of champagne. And it sounds easy, but it was like a first orgasm. Like, you don't know what is happening to you. It's very scary. But then it's bliss. And during this moment of bliss, where I teared and cried for 2 hours, people were coming to me and said, you know, like, oh, you saw God, you had the revelation. I said, no, I just saw that I was super blind, completely fucked up, dead inside, that I was ignorant, that I hurt everyone around me, I hurt myself as well, didn't respect myself. Everything flashing into my face. So it was my first massive spiritual slap.
It was your first cold bath, it sounded like.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, definitely. And it was the beginning, the real beginning of the journey. I was back.
No wonder most people, when you say just being, for a lot of people to go through that initial moment of realization that they are responsible for their life and all the pain and hurts around them, it's quite something to confront.
Yeah.
But what a revelation for you to be able to go through that. So there you are in Thailand. You've just had this awakening where this pit of your stomach has all come up to the surface. Where do you go from there?
It's a very good question, because when you have this type of revelation, every time you have this insight, it's not like you change. It's more like you re-become yourself a little bit more. But still, it is someone new that you didn't know, because you haven't been there yet, or a long time ago. Yeah. So I kept doing more mistakes, but in a different way. I went back with my ex, because I was like, fuck, maybe I was the issue. No, I was doubting all my choices.
Of course.
So I called everyone to say sorry, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I fucked up. So I just called many people, including my parents, and I came back with my ex. Of course, it was definitely not the right decision to do. And I kept on drinking, it took a while, I was very slow. And my ego was still so big. And I'm not in this mindset of killing the ego, no. Mm-hmm. But it was too much. And every time I had a revelation, then I was like feeling that I was the boss of the game, you know? And it took me so long time to just live a life that actually feel peaceful and beautiful and just, it's fine. You know, like, because then as soon as I had the revelation, I started to feel like I was the warrior of the spirituality, the awakening. And yes, it's beautiful, yes, it's fantastic, and please, that's why I'm doing this work, is to spread this type of messages. But it's all good. It's already all good. Sorry, I a bit drifted away from your question, but basically I fell again and fell again and fell again, but somehow the downs were a little bit less down and the ups were a bit more ups, and here we are today. So
fluctuated like this. But you know what? When you go through something like this and that revelation, and you're basically, your higher self is sort of getting into the vehicle, where before I call it the id, which the Greeks used as the term idiot.
Good one.
That's the one that sits in the amygdala.
Okay. Yeah.
The fight and flight response, and that's what it is. I got my story, and Alex, I look and go, wow, what an idiot he was. Not a judgment. He just was very reactive, living in his root chakra, let's say, driven by lust and doing drugs and drinking and basically being an idiot, living by his lowest values, not knowing who he is, injecting everybody else's values, putting himself last, but thinking he's putting himself forward, not really sure what was up or down. And coming to that realization, when you realize that you've been living from the idiot, thank you so much. Would you like a hot drink, by the way?
Beautiful one. Can I have, please? I will. Wait, what do you recommend?
Well, I love a matcha. I wouldn't get the turmeric because your tongue will go yellow. So,
I want the turmeric.
you
Let's
want the
get my
turmeric,
tongue
but you'll go yellow.
Yeah, please. Let's do it.
The turmeric.
Thank you
You're
very
getting the
much.
turmeric latte, please. Cold or hot?
Hot.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah? Okay. Thank
Let's
you
go,
very
Greg.
much.
We've got like 5 different milks, so I'm glad. Otherwise, this podcast would be a lot longer. And we have a shot here as well. I mean, we're going to ping ourselves in a minute. This is, I think it's the
Pleasure.
green life. So,
Cheers, my friend.
To
what
green life.
are we cheersing? To life? To love?
cheers to you and your story that we're
Ah.
bringing out to the world.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for giving a voice to my story. Thank you very much, brother. Shot?
You know, these are the only shots I have anymore. Like yourself, I used to, my early 20s, late teens, friends and I had a company called Mischief
Okay.
in
Okay.
London. And we used to run all the VIP clubs, China Whites, Elysium, all this
So you know.
stuff like that.
You know.
And, you know, later on I read in the scriptures, the biblical scriptures, there's the words like mischief and fornication and things like that. And I'm thinking,
It was the name
these
of
people are hell. It's my company, like, our company was the very thing you see. And there's my darling wife over there. Yeah, you know, I look back at those times and you know, I judge myself. I judge myself for all the crazy times I had.
Yes.
And stuff that, you know, a rock star lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
But I never had the ka-ching at the end of it. We were sort of living under the illusion
Yes.
because we were partying hard and not knowing what the hell we're doing. But I was masking, you know, all that distraction, drugs and everything else was masking some deep-rooted shame from my early childhood. And like shame, like anything, is a magnet and it attracts more shame and it creates a snowball effect that you feel like you can never escape from it. So it's like it's behind you and you're running down the hill and you don't know where else to go. You can't move out the way. It's just forcing you down and down and down and down. And you think, well, for 1 minute you're away and then you get back on the hill and then it's behind you, making you...
So much.
There's that beautiful...
Thank
I
you.
know I get it. You were jealous of my beautiful flowery cup. But,
100%.
I mean, you can't get more masculine
like-
than this, my brother.
It's all good.
I mean, this is what
I,
it's all about.
There is a lot to talk about. After, maybe.
After the shame. So,
The lowest vibration on the scale.
exactly. That book by... oh, my goodness. The one with David Hawkins.
Yes.
Trans...
I just keep
human-
drinking my turmeric.
You know what? Should I put it on there? You know what I mean? People will refer to that book. It's an incredible book. When he goes through the different layers and shame being right down and obviously enlightenment being at the top. But there you are. We're escaping the snowball effect of our shame, which is attracting more and more. How do we stop it? Rather than putting a bandage over the cut, let's say, how do we get to the root cause of it? So there you are. You had this... But did it get to the root cause, or what was your journey to get to the root cause of where it all came from?
So, I'm a very slow and fast learner at the same time.
Mate, I gotta have to cheers you on that one because I
course.
say the same thing. I literally,
Really?
I say I'm the slowest learner, but I must be the fastest because I grew up in school with ear issues, like special needs a little bit, like because I was just slow because I had my operation, I was missing out. So very young, I felt like I was a slow learner. So I've been carrying that within my consciousness and realizing that recently. And you bring it up now.
And at the
so-
same time, everything you learn, you use it and you keep...
Exactly.
keep it as an
Because we
asset.
take action on it.
Yes.
We actually implement it.
You know, like, that's what happened. It's like, I was not listening to anyone. So actually my ears are good, but I was still not listening. So it's like having no ears. And, and you know, like, mistakes. And at some point, it's like, I strongly believe that you choose the life you want to live. And by my side, it was only by facing my fear. That's all, because at the end of the day, in order to feel good, long story short, you have to feel safe, so it lowers the inflammation. If you want to talk about science, it's the parasympathetic nervous system. We can talk the vocabulary of science, the vocabulary of spirituality. At the end of the day, it's the same stuff. And for me, I feel like I was putting so much pressure on myself, and also because I'm this big guy, and no, I was super afraid of life. I was super afraid of trying anything because I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of myself, and I was feeling so dark inside that I was afraid also of showing myself. I said that last time. I was sure that I was going to be like a serial murderer. I was sure about that because I was not finding reason in my mind to justify all this anger. I'll give you an example. I have a client last time. She says, Ferdinand, I really feel that I want to kill myself. I said, listen, I saw more than 10,000 participants. I know, I can see the signs of people that will do something like this. When you talk about your life, it doesn't sound at all like you don't kill yourself. But I can see that your mind yet hasn't found another solution to stop it, to stop the thinking. And because it doesn't know other solution except the click, click, boom, boom, that's the solution you have to say to me. But no, it's not true. We do 15 minutes of breathing, and she's gone, she comes back, she feels like bliss, she wants to hug her husband. We don't know what we don't know. And I didn't know nothing, like, at all. So by facing our fear, and it doesn't have to be something complicated. I started with breathwork, I started with ice bath, I started with nature, and I kept on going like this. And now it looks like I'm doing crazy stuff, but the truth is, it's just one step after another. And once the why is big enough, the how is easy, and that's how it keeps on going. But I feel for people watching, it doesn't have to be... What was your last first time, for example? Do something for the first time. That's scary. Say I love you to your dad. Say I forgive you to your mom. Say to your kids, listen to them maybe and say I'm sorry. I'm the adult, but I'm completely dumb and I was wrong. I'm going to listen to you for once. All these little things is changing the physiology inside and the nervous system. We are as complicated as we are simple, I believe. It's just that sometimes we make things complicated because we don't want to face the truth. So we procrastinate and start to work on other stuff than the real issue. And we can do a lot of... For example, you see people having the most highest performance at sports.
Yeah.
They also, in general, run away from something. They run away from something. I'm not saying it's good or bad because they've transcended their feelings into something constructive into their life, and it's a choice of life. It's completely fine. I'm just saying that it's good to be aware of it. There is Ty Lopez that I met last time 2 weeks ago. He said, in the world, there is two types of people. There is idiots, and there is idiot that knows that they are, so they do something about it. And I really love that. Like, what do we know anyway? If the creation is divine, it's not with my little mind, my intellectual part of my mind, that I can rationalize everything. You feel me?
Mate, everything you're saying, I
see your
resonate
eyes.
with. You're singing to the choir, because there's that revelation of when you learn something new, you suddenly realize how little we actually know, right? Every single time.
Exactly.
And, I'm pursuing this at the moment. I'm reading different... So last year was sort of a lot of religious scriptures, and this year seems to be around scientists and Isaac Newton and Faraday and Maxwell, the creators of the founder of electromagnetic fields, something that was in the field that created, communication and technology. But, you couldn't see it with the human eye, but they knew it was there due to something that was coming through. And Maxwell was the kind of guy who was spiritual in that he also would know there was an equation or something, but understood his subconscious mind would come with an answer at some point, but he would leave it aside and come back to it. So these scientists who have really revolutionized the way we live our lives, have practiced this sort of spirituality. And there's, skeptics out there who could watch and go, like my father is one of them. And I think I was gifted with a very skeptical father in that regard, because before you put yourself out there, you kind of want to sound like you know what you're talking about, right? To get to that point of certainty that, now I'm ready to go out there and say and feel it and whatever it is. And I don't care about what people would say about it or whatever their limitation is projected on. You just own it and go, this is it. I'm not trying to convince anybody of the truth. This is just it, And even like the scientists who back then who were laughed at, who saw this magnetic field, with electric and magnetism together, but they couldn't prove it. Didn't mean it wasn't there. And there's so much more revelation coming in regards to spirituality, even energy centers within our body. Like recently I went to see a friend for a shoulder issue. Physio said, But he said, it's actually your organ here. And I was like, what? My organ? Okay. And he goes, yeah, because it's defected. Everything has energy and it's drawing energy from your shoulder. That's why it's going in. So I was thinking, wow. So like people with heart issues, for example, or whatever issue, their physiology can tend to move into that direction because I don't know, like Iron Man or like a black hole. It's pulling light, pulling energy from other parts of our body that needs energy. So our physiology can change depending on an organ that is needing energy. Hard to prove that yet, but it doesn't mean it's not true, you know? By understanding the depth of the human body, we think it's one thing, but actually behind it, there's something deeper. And then behind that, there's something deeper. And it just means that it continuously tests our consciousness, you know, our ever-evolving consciousness. How far does it really go? Anyway, how far have I just gone?
Beautiful. No.
So, you know,
All good.
so it's...
That's why we needed 2 hours camera.
yeah, that's why we got it. We adjusted everything so you guys can tune in for the next 4 hours. So, you know, you jumped into this world. You found did you find your root cause of where it all came from?
Yeah. It came. Actually, I kind of knew it before. I guess I didn't felt it, but I knew it. It was just my childhood. That I guess as a pretty healthy, clear young child, I saw what was reality that I was offered to me at that time, and my mind was just like, nope, like not this shit. And I believe that, for example, at that time, I didn't know as well what was good, what was bad. In my perspective, once again, there is no good, no bad, but in my perspective, I just saw that I was blocked to do what I wanted to do because we were in the middle of nowhere. I just saw that I enjoyed the sun and it's raining all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel that I cannot talk about what I want to talk because people will repress me or will not understand. So it was just this type of feelings. So it's not when I say a shitty place, it's in my opinion for the man that I am. And that's why, you know, I want to come back to that when before I'm like the warrior of light and I'm trying to say all the words properly. And guys, I am in my reality. Accept it or leave it. It's all good. For me, this place was not right. I'm not saying, I don't have to justify it. You know, it's like, for me, this place was not right. And if I go back now to this place, give me 3 months, and I probably will want a bit of vodka in my ginger shot. Because it's just not the right place for me. I want to be in a place where my assets are seen as assets. Otherwise, it's just a waste. And I feel like there's place for everyone. I feel like of course, there's always extreme in everything, but most of it is beautiful. And I guess, actually, if we take the world as yin and yang and balanced, the peaceful part is by definition peaceful. So we may not hear all the time people screaming that they're happy. We just see on social media, for example, or news, bad stuff. But the truth is like, it's balanced. If it wasn't, we would already be disappeared. So it's all good. So let's all do what makes us feel at peace today, what creates peace for us tomorrow, and let's see how the play unfolds, you know? It's all good.
Yeah, well, you know, because you stepped out of a place where before you were far from this guy, you know, and you were ultimately your amygdala, you know, you were reactive, yes, and you were completely there, hijacked, you know. And then you found yourself here in Dubai. One, how did you get to Dubai?
A good point. So I was in the Himalayas last week, and I learned about part of their religion. So please forgive me if I make some mistakes because I'm not an expert, but basically there was Lord Shiva that was whole. It was everything, the whole power. But he didn't know it because he was whole. He couldn't see himself. He didn't know he was. So he had to split into Shakti and Shiva. And then he realized, okay, it's like the masculine, the feminine, the duality that we talk about. Mm-hmm. Then he realized, and he wants to be whole again, but no, he has to go through a journey to reunite. And it took 400 years, if I remember well. Then they married.
And you call yourself a slow learner.
So, yeah, exactly. So somehow this information resonated a bit with me. It's like, we are all so powerful, but we don't know it. So I split it. And then I completely fell into the feminine part of me. So it's more about like the emotion, the love. I was in Spain, you can imagine, with a Colombian girlfriend. We was a shaman. It was all a hippie lifestyle. I learned so much about myself, going deep, deep, deep. And we all cry together. Fantastic part of my life. But then I'm a young man. I have big balls with testosterone as well. I want to use this as well. I don't want to take shortcuts in life and talking yet about the beyond only. I want to play the game.
You want to be here.
I want to
manifest
be here.
This in this reality.
I love the three-dimensional world as well.
Yeah.
So then I again jumped on the other side, and I started like a fractals to play this game on jumping from one side and the other of myself. And now, for example, I just come back from the Himalayas, which was very inner work, a lot of emotion, a lot of connection with nature. And now I'm back in Dubai. I'm back in the game. You can see me. I'm sharp. I'm here. So that's how I play my life at the moment, and I really enjoy it actually.
It's beautiful, beautiful way of living, man. And so you live in Dubai now?
Yeah,
This year,
it's 3 months, but I do events here since 1 year.
Okay. So why Dubai? What was the pull for Dubai?
So I had a center in France. It's a bit complicated. I moved a lot anyway. But I had a center in France with my cousin, which we were doing fantastic, doing breathwork and ice and meditation and mindset. And I was doing back and forth with Spain anyway. And it was fantastic, this moment in Spain, but I was like, I want to play the game. And please judge me in the comment. I want to see what you think about that sentence, but I still want to play the game, even after all this revelation. And I will have much more. I'm still a young man. It's a journey of life. And I was thinking that if there is a place that we play the game, that is not Las Vegas, because I was connected with gambling before, I didn't want anymore. If I was a child and I had to draw a city, I would draw Dubai. And it came to me, and I was like, okay, let's do one event here. I came once, I knew it was there, and I just moved with my team. We moved the whole team here because it's a big structure. I play the hippie, but actually I have a big team with me, geniuses guys, two business partners and employees, and because we offer a full package of services in terms of support and stuff like this.
Wow.
Yeah, for the wellness journey. And so here I am in Dubai, and I love it for what it is. But I'm also aware that it's a bubble. You come here to play the game, then you go out, you see the real world, and you come back. And for some people, this is the real world, and the way is also fine.
Man, that's it's awesome that what you touched there because of the whole feminine. You kind of reverted back to that part of yourself, right? The suppressed aspect of yourself. That's what probably made you feel so different growing up. That feminine,
yes,
what seen as the light, let's say, was squashed in some way.
Yes.
So did you find some force come in that challenged that light when you were growing up?
So much. I always been like a quite sensitive child, crying a lot when I was young, and I kind of remember that I was seeing stuff or feeling stuff, and I'm not getting too much deep into that yet, but it's a long topic. But and the thing is, like, somehow the culture there was not at all into this. It was not just part of. If you grew up in Colombia, you will see that you can. For most people, you can talk about these things. Not where I was growing. So it just got cut, and at some point, my mindset as a young survival brain was like, okay, bro, this you have to shut it down because it not serve your best interest. And
that's not the world we live in.
That's not the world we live in. You have to develop something that will make you live. So actually, I did a master in business. And the worst part is that I hated it, but I was good at it because I wanted to live so much. I had the biggest motivation, the biggest why. But
It's funny how it's like, no, I resonate, man, because when I stepped into this world, I was known as a sensitive child. In fact, when my father read at my mother's eulogy, when she died when I was 9 years old, and he was sitting there. I mean, if you want to identify people with my brother's this, and Alex, the sensitive one, let's anchor that one down. At the mother's funeral. What does that mean? I shouldn't cry? I mean,
because now you have to act.
Yeah, now I'm like, well, now I'm sensitive. Everybody says sensitive.
Crying, Alex?
Yeah, there's a beautiful aspect of being sensitive, but also there's the eggshells that people have to walk over. You know what I mean? Like, so I get it. Like, and there's a part of ourselves that we kind of feel like we have to shut off. That we don't understand the mystical part, the visions that we saw. There were certain things I just couldn't explain. And the more I was challenged, the more I had to then go into the amygdala. And it got to the point where I was just defending until that just took over. And it's taken years, still remnants of it that, show up.
Yes.
That I see it. But with regards to the law of duality, how the universe works, everything's just a matter of our perception of how we perceive an event that has taken place. But when you see the grand design, the absolute of how the universe works, for every single man, woman, and child on this planet, there is no such thing as bad or good, right or wrong, abuse, victim, villain, nothing. But it's like, what do you mean? The whole society is built on that illusion. Everything, even illness and disease, that's a bad thing. Well, no, it's not. Even though my mother passed from it, it's not because of the illness. The illness and disease, and I say it on every single podcast, it's so important to get it, it's a feedback mechanism to bring us back into equilibrium. Everything is designed to bring us back into homeostasis, which is to love. The grand design of it all is out of love. It's just a matter of our perception that we hold on to an event that's happened that tears us away because we see one side. Oh, well, I was abused, or I'm a victim, or feeling guilty because I did something to somebody, and the other person. So we're left with this story we tell ourselves that is not true. So then when we have the extreme perception, the more extreme it is, we then manifest ourselves an illness. And for a lot of people, say if it's cancer comes in, what does cancer usually do? It brings families together. It brings back into love. And if you let go of the story, people have reminiscence, like, the disease just goes. Why is that? Certain stories, placebos, things like this, because of ourselves. We are the healing. We are the healers, right? We created it. We can heal it. But the whole system, I call it the old earth, where Alex used to live, where you used to live, right? And it's funny, when you were doing the gambling casinos times, I was actually IT recruitment about 10 years ago, and some of my clients were casinos in Malta.
Okay.
And they were like the good clients because they had the IT, they had the money, and if you got one of those, you're like, yes, it's like cha-ching. So I get it. I'm hiring the IT guys for these jobs. I didn't know, I have a clue what I was doing. I was blagging the whole time. But anyway, that's another story. But going back to, the duality of it, when I realized that, I'd look back at my past events like a domino effect. You knock one domino and it does that whole trail thing. When you go back to the root cause of whatever issue that, I deemed as shameful or something, like what happened because of certain perspective I had. And I go back to that moment, I see the other side, and I allow myself to put love in an aspect of the darkness that I didn't even want to confront. The light goes in and dispels the illusion that then knocks all the other ones. But it's just going to the root, the darkest, deepest one that most people just go, no, I can't, the mind can't even comprehend it. The ego took us away from that place, so we never had to realize it. But it's deeply ingrained in our body, right? The body always keeps the score. Beautiful book. So it's having that capacity to be able to shine the light in the darkest aspects of ourselves, to then go there and go, there you are. Your inner child, the 1-year-old, 2-year-old, the infant, maybe it's your trauma from your father or mother that's been passed down to you that you're hugging there in a child that's ultimately you. And how far does that ancestral pattern go? Because how far we go is that survival, the amygdala that we've all learned from billions of years, that from one species to the next, that's within our genome, in a collective consciousness, that we are having to go deep down. But the level of love and compassion that, say, Jesus Christ showed us 2,500 years ago, let's say, and let's say Muhammad then later, and all of these prophets, to show us that the depth of love in the most darkest places is possible. And people look at it outside of themselves going, look, they're the savior, they're the way. But it's really, no, you are the way. You are the way. The way, everyone is the way. It's just accessing that within our DNA that is available to everybody, So that's when I just realized that, in the duality, the laws of play, it was like, fuck, you know what? Just get out of the way, Alex. Get out of the way and watch what happens. And the more I keep doing that, someone like you shows up and it's like a mirror reflection of me. And I'll be like, fuck, I did all right for myself. I own that trait. I see that in an awesome dude right here, your heart and how it shows up and your journey. I resonate because I see myself in you. And before I could be like, well, I could resent you in some way, your long hair, not anymore. But, there's certain aspects, of course, if I'm resenting, if I'm negative about something, if I see in the other person, it's because it's a part of myself I haven't yet owned and loved yet. Whatever that is, even if it's the villain. And there's many villains in our life. My wife and I met, let's say, when we came to Dubai, and putting this book together and then allowing my higher self to view those people from a different perspective and going, everyone's an angel in their own capacity that has led us to where we are. And when we're given shit, what we do with that is entirely up to us, because where do the most beautiful things flower from? Fertilizer. It's what we do with it. And the darkest and deepest stuff that life has given us, the more trees that we can grow that create shelter and sustenance for humanity. So I see shame and all that as a gift. It's our armor, it's our shield, it's our sword, it's, it's our evolution. But it's a matter of perspective. When we shift that, then we can then fully realize ourselves and lift off that burden. And then boom, this light just resonates and illuminates from us.
Drop the mic.
So anyway,
Beautiful.
guys, welcome back after that
I
little...
think the memory card is done. We have to change the card, please. The battery is done. But it was a very good one. We don't need more.
Yeah, but this is really bizarre because you've you know what's weird? The last couple of days, my dream, and maybe he will be watching a friend of ours who we got into business with, and I said it before, a French guy, had the hair, really cool guy, was like my brother, but I put him on a pedestal. And then, so when you're there, you're living a fantasy, right? And the last couple of days, he's popped up in my dream. It's been a couple of years, but there's some animated version of him, and I'm like, I need to reach out because it ended in a certain way, but there's just love, love. There's no judgment because whatever it is I could have judged, I also own and have done that trait. And it's not wrong. Nothing's wrong. But when incidents happen, we just judge it straight away and think it's somehow wrong or that's right. And we put that person up there, we put them down there, and we just, and then here you are, manifestation. It's like the form has shifted. And here you are, and it's like your characteristics are similar. It's like, and we talked about doing a podcast together about the New Earth. I'm not saying that you're now like my buddy of New Earth. Who knows? You probably will come back many times.
With pleasure. And wait, I will jump on this because it's funny. I have the same story with you. When I was for 5 years in the gambling industry, I had what was my best friend, Ludwig. Ludwig, love you, brother. He looks like you, exactly like you. But even though he's going a bit better now, he really went down in the pit hole of the gambling industry. But you look the same, and even the style is the same. And he was a legend, and I can feel this vibe inside of you. So it's funny that basically it's like the universe is just bringing you the same character somehow. It's the same style, but in a different energy that matches yours now. It's beautiful.
Man, this is what I'm saying. When we keep seeing this, and the universe, the master lives in a world of transformation. Everybody else lives in the fear of loss and gain.
Beautiful.
It's an illusion. And I give that to Dr. John DeMartini. He's a legend. But these, bing, and that's what I love about you. And this, when we realize that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, you read it and you're like, oh, that's, it's a nice little quote, and you move on. When you really understand that the things that you think you've lost, and you open your eyes and you own the things that you think you've lost, and you realize nothing is lost and nothing is gained, that form shifts and shows up in a different form.
Beautiful.
There's none. There's no death. There's no life. It's just, things are just changing, like an oil painting that we're just living in. You know what I'm saying?
For people watching, how I want to know then, I jump into mine. How did you do this process? Like in more, maybe because people watching wants to know how the fuck did you do that? Alex, because you're talking a lot. But how the fuck did you do this? I come back from India,
I know. You can tell the mysticism, the Shiva. My man, it's, when you talked about falling down a lot, I think I'm probably the biggest idiot on the planet.
Right behind.
I think that's what it is. And it's realizing that I was the biggest idiot. To go, oh my goodness. And then realizing it, and then still being an idiot. And then realizing it, and then still being an idiot. Like the swirling motion that is our New Earth Cafe. You see the emblem? My wife drew that when she was a child.
Yes, the spiral. Okay.
And it's the Fibonacci code, right? It's the life. It's the thing that expands and expands and expands. So it's that regression, digression, regret. So when you feel like you said before, when you felt proud in that moment, because guess what you attract? Shame to balance you out. So I'm like really cautious. Like when I'm talking to you and you say something that's cool, and I'm like, I feel good about it. I'm like, whoa, Alex, calm yourself, because something is going to happen. I do, and I want to pull myself out of that game of duality completely. But I just want to be, to be fair, emotionless, like a robot a little bit, but feeling love, but not emotional. And I just keep wearing myself because I've been an absolute emotional ball of every emotion. I mean, I let it run my life, completely until I had scars that would last me a lifetime. That kind of stuff. Where you go, okay, all right, now I've got to calm it down. But I had to go through all of that. I had to go through all the different roles, different jobs, different perspectives. I've lived a different 100 men's lives. Even dressed up as a woman once for a TV show, but that's a different story. High heels and everything. That was with Alan Carr. That was good fun. Anyway,
Good to watch.
I played the roles I had to play, and I didn't know why I was doing it. We live out certain perspectives, but I didn't know what it was all for. But I'm starting to realize, I'm only recently, you see, I think I just watched one video on the way here, and it was it said about your corporate life, and you said that you were saying all this stuff, and you said, I'm just 30, and I was like, 2023, you're 30, and here you are saying you're a slow learner. Get out of here. I'm 40 years old, I'm still getting it. And I look at you like, yeah, slow learner. See how slow this guy is. And this is what I'm, dealing with. So when I see this and I think, okay, that's my thing. I'm putting it in the book because contextualize it all. And, at the end of the day, we all want to be permission to accept the idiot of ourselves that we were, but it actually was a lovable idiot. Whatever the harm was caused, whatever that was, it was lovable. And everybody's worthy of love, no matter how much of an idiot we were. And that's what it comes down to, because, and I know people are watching and going, but me, I'm different. I've got a different, I get you, but I'm like, no, man, I've done every pretty much idiot thing. I'm not in prison because I just got away with it, but it doesn't mean that, I wasn't an idiot, So let's get off the idiot subject and back to you, shall we?
Even though we are really good at it.
I know, absolutely, master clown. So,
Actually, I love it. Alex, we can talk about you. It's a big pleasure. I'm learning from anything I can, and I'm just happy to be here. I feel, as you said, to separate yourself from the game of duality, this detachment. What if actually the outcome doesn't matter? It's like you can say something good, you can say something bad, no one knows. But just the fact that you express yourself, that's the virtue we want to see. And I feel there is something in the Bible saying what you bring forth is going to save you, what you don't bring forth is going to destroy you. And just that. And for example, once again, I'm really just a baby. And I feel like, for example, sometimes we love to touch ourselves talking about spirituality, and I'm guilty as well of that. But I feel like at the end of the day, we love it because it's like people talking about football that love football. It's the same thing. It's because it gave us some kind of drive. Now, for people watching, it's like it might be another type of sensation. Sometimes it's hard to resonate with people that has lived something that you haven't. And it was my case, for example. People who were giving me solutions in front of me to get out of my misery. But I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I didn't have any hope in the solutions they were giving me, even though they were fantastic solutions. But because I was not resonating with that. And for example, what I love with what you do is that, first of all, you're yourself. I think that this is a very good point, with the good and the bad and whatever in between. But more than that, you're offering platforms of exchange. Even though right now you make only 100 views per video, per YouTube videos.
What did you say, 100 views?
Even though right now you make just 100 views.
It's me watching 100 times. That's the way we do it.
My mum,
Well, my mum's not here.
Your
but,
100 friends. 99 views, sorry. My bad. But
there's other mums watching it.
mine will be watching.
You better be.
But what I mean by that, actually, I have a lot of respect for what you do, because look, we are in your coffee.
Yeah.
The place is fantastic. Your being is fantastic. You are giving this podcast and voice to absolutely everyone that you feel you're interested in, or whatever.
I just leave the space to whoever wants to show up. Doesn't matter who.
Exactly. So you're giving space to interact, and I feel like words, amazing. Like, listen to our words as much as you want, but words doesn't replace action. And knowing wisdom doesn't replace being wise. It's completely two different things, and we quickly see it when there is a bit of challenges. You can really see who have learned wisdom and who is truly wise. And with my young perspective, of course, we're always the fool of someone. But it's nice what you do, because I believe that just, again, talking about spirituality, I come from Spain. People love that, trust me. But as soon as there is an issue, there is no one. Because they don't go never into their masculine energy. women and men, most of them, not everyone, of course. And in the reality I was in, of course, Spain is a massive country, but the reality I was in, and it's a lot of people that actually may fall into the tribe and the comfort of this feminine energy. And I feel like it's actually as easily possible to fall into the trap of being only on one side, which is the feminine, or the masculine. We see here in Dubai people that work, and they come to me, they say, Ferdinand, I cannot sleep at night, I will work even more to buy a better bed. I said, what? No, I can sleep on the floor right now. Like, it's not about the better bed. And on the other hand, I see people in Spain that, for example, they almost have nothing to buy food. They always have to ask their friends and stuff, but they will be like, oh, I love life, I'm feeling good, and the feelings. And both are completely okay, guys. Just choose what you want. From my side, I find, or at least I feel that I find at that moment, some kind of balance and some kind of contrast. But I feel like it's good to be aware of both sides. And what I'm saying now is just a little sneak peek on what I have lived. The world is massive. We are 8 billions. I just want to share a bit what I saw so far. And for example, the mind, I swear, is so funny. This mind, for example, women's, I see it, most of them. Men, I will give it after some issues as well. My dad was abusing me. My ex was abusing me. And my brother was abusing me. All the men are bad. I'm like, wait a second. We are 8 billion. Let's divide it per 2, okay, 4 billion men. Let's imagine there is young men, okay, 2 billion. Like, it doesn't work, the math doesn't add up. So, not saying that it's hard what happened, of course, challenges are hard, but at the end of the day, this is not what all is. And for men, it is the other same with women. They're all crazy. No, brother. You have grew up in a reality where the few women that you have met are maybe too much into their emotions, and you look at them with your logical mind, and you're like, why are they doing things that doesn't make sense to my intellect? Yeah, but because they're playing by another rule. And that's all, we just have to accept the difference. But it's just so funny because I start to have trained, I guess, like, I mean, made the calculation, almost 10,000 participants in total, online and face-to-face accumulated. And I start to see patterns. And it's so funny to see the Germans, the pattern of the Germans, the pattern of the Irish. And again, everyone is different, guys. Don't get me wrong, I don't know you. But as unique as you are, fundamentally, we are all the same. All of them, all of us. And it's so funny to see that at the end of the day, as you mentioned, it's like once you give it to someone a safe space and the love can be felt, magic happens.
How do I drop the mic? Do I just lock it over like the king or the queen in the chess game?
Going down chess.
Man, 100%. And you know, look, as a high calling came, and you know, I had a podcast thing in our house. We built a bloody studio for it, right? And I was in there, and it felt like a dense energy. I'm in the basement, and then this woman came around to do somebody bought me a birthday gift, like a numerology horoscope thing, you know. And I sat there, and she said many things. She said, look, if you're going to do a studio thing, you need to be in trees and light. And I was like, I just built a dungeon for my podcast, you know. And it was like a year ago, so we did a few, you know, podcasts. I'm in there, you know. And
I saw it. Yeah, I saw.
You're the one.
The dungeon.
The dungeon. There was a special swing in the background.
I don't know if you grabbed that joke, but it was a good one. Rewind.
You didn't hear the swing, did you? Anyway, so it, you know, after the summer holiday, I came back. After summer holiday, like a child, I came back, and there was no call for this podcast anymore because you listen to podcasts. I've always been the one to watch something and then go into the arena. If it's, you know, like food, I became a chef. It's like films, I became an actor. You know, it's like watching somebody fight. I'm in the ring. You know, like this is who I am. And then when you watch podcasts, yeah, of course. But I realized it wasn't enough for me just to be a podcast for Alex. As much as life has taught me to wake me up, to not make everything about me, it's because I, in fact, enjoy the fact it's not about me. So when I realized that, oh my God, there's a space in the cafe, it's quiet between 3 and 5. The studio's right here, the people are right here. I mean, Irvin's right there checking the camera. Do not touch the focus. And so then It's all here. Like, it's just a matter of perspective. Like, we have everything. We think we need more, and we stress ourselves. And then, because what happens when we stress, our cells activate, and that takes us back in time. We regress evolutionally to a state where we needed to survive, even if it means going back to becoming a bloody parrot. I don't know, or a mammoth, or a mammal, whatever it is. I'm thinking of names. I skipped school, all right. So. So the point is that we regress, and then we don't see what, let's say, God has provided us and always has. The resource we'll always need. It's just a matter of perspective that's right in front of our eyes. Like you mentioned before, like, you got the Irish and you got the Germans. There's a collective consciousness, and there's a society that has their collective consciousness, which makes sense because, their parents, and the further back you go, the smaller the community was. Everybody's sort of like one of those special instruments.
Accordion.
Yeah, that's the one. And so there is that degree that, of course, you're going to have that within your DNA. And, of course, it's going to be more activated in certain people. And those environments are going to activate. Of course, it's just a matter of, that's why we have stereotypes. But then what are we? I was thinking on the way up here, funnily enough, like, what are we then if we don't have that condition? We don't have these beliefs. We don't have these preconceived ideas about ourselves. If we took all of that away,
Yes.
and we're just there in a room, who are we? We've become a blank canvas that our higher selves just go, oh, here I am. And your higher self is ageless. You've just reconnected to the divine that was always been before and always will be afterwards. There is no time. It's linear, right? So you are not the age. Once you become awakened and you become aware, you may as well be an 80-year-old man. You may as well be a 1-year-old child, because you've gone to that place that is ethereal, that is connected to all, and that's where we all connect. That's why we can talk and understand each other, even if we don't really understand it, because we get it, the energy, the flow of it, because our higher selves are talking here. If we reverted back 10 years ago and you're 5 years ago, and I was in my IT recruitment and you were here, our conversation would be very different. Maybe
better.
Maybe it'll be a little bit more wild, and the shots would be a little bit different. So,
if I was 5,
if you're 5,
15, okay, fair enough. 15, I can start.
So 5 years ago, when you're in Malta, 10 years ago,
25,
in IT recruitment, you know what I'm saying. So, but coming from the mind, the limited perspective that we have, we'd be comparing, we'd be judging, we'd be minimizing, we'd be exaggerating, we'd be living in an illusion, and then we're trying to fit in somehow, like everybody is around the world that they come into contact with, which is a tough game to play. You've been in there, I've been in there. But from this place, when you recognize one another, you go, hey, brother, been a while. Because it's like you recognize yourself in the other person, which means that we all know each other. Everyone's a brother and sister.
Yes.
When you recognize the highest self, which is God. It's a divine witnessing this revelation, right? That we just all in this. And once we step into the new earth, it's like, there's the higher selves. We're letting go of.
Yes.
You know?
A bit of silence. It's incredible how actually life can be beautiful instantly without changing anything on the outside. And what you just mentioned is perfect. It's like, I believe, like you just mentioned, when we go back, we are all the same. We go back to the source. And I mentioned silence. It's from the documentary that I invite everyone to watch, Samadhi. Maybe you have heard about this word.
I'll put a little special link in here, right?
Yeah. It also changed my life. I watched it maybe 500 times. Samadhi is a state in the Indian Sanskrit where basically it's a bit what does Joe Dispenza, like when you detach all the labels, the body, and yourself. And basically it's a state that if you believe you have reached it, you already didn't understand that you have reached it. It's a bit a paradox. So I cannot claim that I've reached the state of Samadhi at all, because basically when you're into that state, you don't even realize that you are, because you are all in and everything at the same time. So it's by itself, it's a contrast of knowing anything. So I have no clue. But the context of it is what you just mentioned. It's like what's left when you remove everything, all the layers, the physical one, the mental one. And I believe that is the love. Now, a message that I want to share here as well. I'm trying to be a bit different on each podcast that I go in. And here it's a pure love podcast. I feel at home. I'm silly. I even lose myself when I look at you. I lose myself and then I reply silly jokes because I'm with my brother. I've been to some podcasts doing more business part. But
I feel the same, brother.
it feels good, you know. And why not living this life? Again, everyone is different and everyone has his opinion, and I'm not here to judge, to change anyone. But why not to live this life? I'm just putting there as an option. Like you can click on. It's a pretty cool life. And then it's you connect with everyone you want. You can create whatever you want. It's not about the what. It's about the how. There is this metaphor, you know, of this man rolling the ball up the hill, and he has to roll this ball. Basically, it's rolling life. Like just being alive is rolling a ball up the hill by itself. You have to eat. You have a few needs, just a little few actually. But the realization of that, you still have to roll the ball, but it becomes light. It becomes super light. You can play with the ball. You still have to roll it up, but it's a play. It's not like a fucking. And that's what I see. It's like, do what the fuck you want, but let's see the beauty inside. And you were talking about the past. With my parents, I had a lot of work on that, on myself. Now, like I speak my mom, I'm actually truly happy to call her. Guys, I wish that she was dead. I swear, I wish that my parents were dead for 10 years. Because I felt like they have hurt me. I felt like they were responsible of what I was living, and I couldn't see a way out. And now, after all this work doing together, they came finally to my event. It was last year. We all cried, we all hugged, we forgive each other, we love. Now, they're still the same. I am still the same somehow in a different way, and then in a different way, but we call each other, we're happy to share. Because at the end of the day, they have brought me so much, and I can complain about them forever, but now I can also say wonderful thing about them forever. And they have given me something, actually, Mom, if you look at it, you have, and Dad, unconditional love. Maybe they didn't express it the best way, but unconditional love they have given me. And if I'm not a parent yet. You have kids?
Yes.
My God, it's coming. I feel it. Like
I stepped into, my wife had a marriage before,
Okay.
and when I met her just before COVID, I
Okay.
had 2 boys, 7 and 10.
Okay.
So I jumped straight into the deep end.
Well, okay, let's jump right to that. It's more interesting than what I was
No,
saying.
mate,
What-
it's not more interesting at all. I want to. You're serenading to your mum and dad right now.
Basically, all good. My mom, I love you. It's all good. We know each other. We call each other later. And do the same with your mom, people who are watching. Call her, tell her that you love her. And if you don't feel it yet, fake it until you make it.
That pretty much sums up the whole shebang.
There is ways to work on that. Reprogrammation. And,
Yeah, no, that's so important.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the parents part, because that's
Okay.
so, like, look, I have this thing, and I wrote an article about it when I was a breakthrough coach back in the days.
breakthrough
right? I was
coach?
welcome. I would break
it sounds
through
like my
your
definition
allegiance.
on Instagram. I don't know what to write.
Yeah, it's just like
something like
a
this.
breakthrough coach. So, because I didn't want to be a life coach. For some reason, I didn't want to be the general type,
Yes,
you know,
I
because I saw
understand.
something. So I was like, I know I'm different. I just don't know how do you know, what do I do? What makes it different, right? And so I called it Breakthrough Coach. And I had an article, because I was looking at every client I was speaking to. I go, okay, I'm basically seeking myself in every person, right? And each person who I attract is ultimately showing a part of myself I need to love and heal. And I would attract some quite unique people. I thought, okay, there's some stuff to do, Alex, you know? And I had this phrase, which is, the relationship you have with your parents is what you have with the world. And the relationship you had with your childhood is what you have with life.
Okay, can you say it one more time?
Yeah, so the relationship you have with your parents is what you have with the world. The relationship you had with your childhood is what you have with life.
Okay,
So
interesting.
your parents are the world, the man, the woman, and how you perceive them is how you perceive the world. That they've hurt you, so then suddenly the world hurts you. That's why we drink, we distract you. You've never met a joyful, let's say, happy, fulfilled person who hates their parents. I've never met one. No one. So if you resent your parents in any way, you're not going to be able to live in a world that you call home until you accept the parts of yourself that you see in your parents. And you just start there. Start there. If you don't love your mum, you don't love your dad, you better do. Otherwise, life is going to keep showing you,
Absolutely.
here's another lesson.
I'm
Bring you
guilty-
back there.
I was guilty
Bring you
of
back.
that.
And, you know, and so it's just like, save yourself the time. Whatever reasons and excuses you have, everybody does the best they can. And stepping into the world of being a bonus dad, you know, with 2 boys, it's one of the most rewarding but toughest jobs.
Yes.
You know, because sometimes you think yourself, you know, I can put my time and energy in all these different things and I get kind of rewarded. But sometimes with the kids, you don't get reward. You get the opposite.
Yes, yes.
You know, where they kind of like humble you down. Like, here you do something, and the teenage son goes, yeah, all right. You know, like anybody else, you'd probably go, you know, but you're like, you just have to go, well, you know, this is the lesson. You know, how to humble oneself is, you know, your children. And it's not even my children, which is also another paradigm to collapse, because who is our children? Because they come through somebody that they own them?
Absolutely.
No, of course not. And it's not parents who raise a child, it's a community that raises a child. Mm-hmm. And this is what the New Earth is about. Here we are setting up something that we're making local communities, global communities, that we share your message that goes around the world, that somebody can hear in Costa Rica, or they can hear it in Barcelona, you know? And
I mean, they don't speak English there, but...
They're learning, right? And there's subtitles. AI is coming, so everybody will be able to hear this. And you see what I mean? Actually, a friend sent me a link of a video, like a clip, and I was speaking Spanish.
Yes.
I was like,
the same with me.
with my
in
voice,
Arabic.
my accent.
It's crazy.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
So all those people spent all those years learning another language.
And now it's done.
So now it's me, speaks English, and that's about it. A bit of Swahili, that's another story.
Okay.
Habari de Leo. So where am I again? Talking Swahili? Might as well be. So that's the point. You know, so going to the parents, going to children, going to, you know, what is this all about? It's passing the baton. You can't pass the baton of love until you love the generation before. And then we need to own that and pass it to the generation. Otherwise, whatever resentment and hate we have to our parents, we're just passing on to the next generation. And then they're going to hate us. And then this continual ancestral line of hate will carry on. But here we are going, how do we dispel that whole illusion and go into the place of loving our parents or caregivers, whatever the reason, whatever justification we have from the things of taboo words, you know? How do we see the positive? Because you can't have a negative without positive. You can't. It's just, and the more emotional we are, the harder it is to see the other side, you know? I get it. Like, I had an issue with the camera on Saturday. I was emotional. I couldn't see the positive in that moment. It was distorted. I couldn't. I had to calm my emotions down to then go, okay, go into my resourceful state, executive functionality. Come on, the idiot, put him away. Okay, there's another, how do I use it? Actually, it's blurry. She's sort of, we're talking about angelic things. Let's make her like glowing white. You know, like, let's use it rather than destroy it. You see what I mean? Like, how do we utilize what is this opportunity given to us? But when we go into our childhood, you know, it's obviously one of my sensitive places. We're so emotional when we go there, we can't even touch it. But when we go there and we actually love that aspect, you've seen people will come to you. You've had it yourself. The revelation to allow yourself to love because we've stopped it for whatever reason. We only hurt ourselves, man. And when, you know, sometimes you just want just the permission to love, even though society said, no, you're not allowed to. They did that to you. You got to stay on their story and hate them. You're like, but I kind of just want to love now because it's exhausting holding that burden of hate and pain that I have to project, thinking that it's going to hurt them when it really is killing me. And then this disease happens because our perspective is not the complete. So then we need that disease to bring us back into equilibrium. The safest thing you can possibly do is love, because that ultimately heals absolutely bloody everything. I feel like Hugh Grant over here.
Maybe for people who are watching, if you want to know the steps that I did, doesn't mean that you have to do the same, but started with breathwork, alone with my cousin, application at home. Then I went to a first expedition where basically it was kind of a first revelation, not emotional but intellectual. Like really like, okay, well, there is something I don't know. It was already a good start. But then, as we mentioned, the emotion came later, 9 months later. But I kept on practicing. At the beginning, it was just to lower my inflammation, being a bit more clear in my mind. And there was not all these spiritual aspects here. I see there's a chakra, and I know that all your glasses are aligned. And it was so far away from all these things. But I just kept on going. Breathwork, ice bath, and working on my mindset and nature. Just including nature in the design of life that I was planning. And by keep on doing these things, I started to see the change. And naturally, changes are coming. Naturally, you are going to hit some walls. And that's why I talk about being at peace with ourselves. It doesn't mean I'm not going to hit another wall anytime soon. But right now I feel at peace with where I go. Maybe I will hit a big one and it's going to be a massive revelation, but I feel at peace going toward this direction. And that's what started to feel for me. It's like I don't know where I go. I'm going to hit some walls, but I'm at peace with where I go. About the connection with the parents, it came later. I feel like this breathing and ice bath for me, for example, it was like a grenade on my issues. Or nuclear bomb, you know.
Yeah.
But still, you have some cockroaches remaining, you know, like you need a sniper on that one. And that's what came after, you know, it's like I did reprogrammation.
Yeah.
I did a lot of sessions of reprogrammations. I was blessed enough to be with a fantastic woman in Spain, Milena, I love you. I say it in many podcasts. Fantastic woman, I invite you to contact her. She's doing reprogrammation. And basically, you are into a state of, it's a bit like hypnosis, and you just go back. You just go back, and at the same time, she's talking to you with her beautiful Spanish accent. And she starts to move some pieces in your nervous system, subconsciously. And at some point, just by few words, triggering words, you realize the worst moment of my life has been the best ones. And you just don't hear it, you don't read it, it's coming from inside. The worst moment of my life have been the best ones. And once you go to the roots, then if that's your new paradigm, all the rest unfold in a different way. It's like, so my parents actually, yes, they gave me love. And all the struggles they have gave me, yeah, but they made me the man I am. And actually they didn't do this too bad, and da-da-da-da-da. And you see your life completely in a different angle. And that's what happened to me. And I kept doing it, I keep doing it. And again, I believe it's all about feeling at peace where you are at. It's not about always chasing to be more and more. No, it would be counterproductive. But just feeling at peace with where you're at. And I feel like actually it doesn't take too long, realistically speaking. It can be hard if you struggle to make the changes or to accept the truth, but it doesn't have to be as long as we have done. It doesn't have to. It can be, it doesn't have to.
It doesn't really have to be at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man.
That's why you are here, no? Like that's why you are here. You create this type of safe space. That's why I'm trying my best to bring and it works so far. I'm very happy how good it works. To create events, retreats, online things, or one-to-one coaching and journey where I follow people where it's challenging. God is always good, but he's not always nice. He's also hard, yin and yang. And we are giving a space where basically at least when the hard moment comes, we're not going to help you, but we're not going to make sure you'll get lost further away than necessary. So at least instead of losing 5 years in the unknown, you have some kind of guidelines. And why not? Look, why not? Just a few thousands years ago, even probably before, we had guides everywhere. Shamans, we had people surrounding us. I know names in French like druid, I don't know how you say in English. People that were here to kind of guide the whole thing. And now basically it's like you go to school and then you have what? Like, yeah, hopefully your parents, maybe a mentor. Most people go through life with just YouTube videos. And I'm not saying that because we are doing YouTube videos, but there is ways to be helped, there is ways to go fast. And for example, one of the messages I want to share is also disease like autoimmune disease. This is basic stuff. Like this is disease from the past. And actually it's not even a disease, it's a hangover of life. Because a disease can be cured in theory. But autoimmune disease, if you type it on Google, it's written, most of them can't be cured. Yeah, because it's not a disease. We call it disease to sell medicaments, but it's a hangover of life. High inflammation, chronic stress, and then the cells start to hit each other. As you mentioned, it's just a condition, a state, it's a feedback. And if we listen, I guess everything should go more or less all right. I think it's pretty well made, life, in general. And actually, it's maybe perfectly made. Maybe. Who knows?
It feels perfectly made.
It feels.
But you only realize that when you come out the other side. You can't see it when you're in your idiot.
And you know what I would love to see, actually? It's like, and I have to be careful with what I manifest. What if tomorrow I'm in a very, very big challenge? Because I did a lot of challenging myself physically, like when I climb mountains in shorts, or like when I stay on spike for 8 hours last time, 8 hours on saddle plank. And I do a lot of things like this. But what happens when actually you're really against the wall and there is, I don't know, like an enemy coming at you or whatever? So maybe not in this life. Let's enjoy this life. I feel like for now I'm not ready for this experience yet. Maybe in the next one. And maybe I am ready for it. Who knows anyway. Right now I'm thinking as I'm talking.
Yeah.
But I would love to see actually
You'd
how
love
wise
to
I am.
experience.
How wise I am.
How are you going to
When they
tackle it.
crucify someone on the cross and he's still believing in God and God's faith.
really under the
And he's
under the
still,
knife?
I don't know if that was true or not, but the metaphor of it. He's going crucified on the cross and he still have faith in God. That's an interesting wise man to look at.
When I read the New Testament last year, right? I read the Bible and I read the New Testament. I say it's just like a different book. The Bible, the Old Testament, and the New Testament was love and light, right? And in his witnessing Jesus didn't write it himself. He would speak and people would, watch these revelations. 12 different, obviously, disciples who were witnessing. And there was that moment when he was walking. I think there's a couple of disciples were ahead of him, and he was walking, and then he dropped to his knees, and he just was beside himself, and he just looked up to God. He was trembling, going, "Just please pass the cup on this. Don't do it for me. Just do it for you." Like,
Wait, you have to tell me that again.
because it was a day before he was going to get crucified, and he was walking. He knew it was going to happen because he prophesied, right? And as he was walking, he dropped to his knees, and he just, he became weak. Because obviously a thought came to him that he was going to be tortured. And he was a man. But his faith in God was beyond anybody could ever comprehend. That's why he was Yeshua, as in the Aramaic version. So when he dropped to his knees, and I read it, I was like reading it, just his story of knowing what's to come. But he was just like, "God, please pass the cup," he called it. Pass the cup. Like, not for me, but for you. I'm your loving son. Just, is there another way? Is there another way? And he had a moment which showed his humanity, that he wasn't just Jesus Christ. He was just like, and I saw myself in him in that moment, going I would crap myself, but he got up and he was just like, all right, I had my moment. Like, who would, I'd be like up the first taxi out of there if they created. No taxis existed. It'd be obviously a wagon or something. But when you have that faith to the point where you just go, if I went against this, I know I'd be going against my soul, and that would be a lot worse than the torture I'd be going through tomorrow. So I have to stay on this path because there's no other way. And I think you're on that path, and I know I'm on that path. That there's no way we'd give it up because it's just whatever that looks like. To the point when, and ultimately what it comes down to is the truth. That he was speaking his truth that happened to lead to a place that it meant crucifixion at that time. But he knew when he was speaking it, the healing that it was unfolding for him, that healing of people hearing truth when it was so scary to speak truth because you could be killed. That truth emanated from him that literally healed people and brought people back from the dead. Because that's the power of truth. God's word, let's say. Love. Truth is love. Not to be afraid to actually speak it, that it can heal people, heal ourselves. And this is what this space is. It's about healing. Everybody can sit here, just have a space to talk and be heard and go, that's all I needed. I just needed that space, needed that presence. And now I'm healing that part of myself that I suppressed and, because all of that is just a matter of perception that we've judged, and when this is out, it doesn't cause stress anymore inside us. So when Jesus went through that moment, yes, it was scary, but he knew there was nowhere else he could go. He just had to man up and take it on the chin.
Man up, Jesus.
Man, when I reading it
I love that.
in California, I was like in Venice, like reading it like this, going.
Man up,
And I was like, man, this dude is like a legend. No, I'm serious. He's a badass. I was like, mate, you know what? Like, you hear the heroes in films. This dude was like going around abolishing, and knowing that he was, the
Rebel?
but the Romans,
Yeah.
and then you had the Pharisees, and then he was met with a lot of. That's what it comes down to. So when he was met with these people who were living off the illusion that they were serving gods because they were manifesting what they wanted in this reality, comfort, luxury, admiration. I know look at me, mental. They were living in that world, but they were pretending that they were connected to God, but they were just a wall. And people would stop by their wall because they would see, I will never get there. So they idolize rather than actually, so they're false prophets. And when Jesus came along, he was showcasing and saying, I am the way, let's say, and you don't need all of this. But they threaten their existence because no organization will ever give itself a reason to annihilate itself. So the Pharisees, religion, medical system, cancer research, all of these, I mentioned it before, will ever find the cure because then they won't exist anymore. So here he comes going, it's you who actually has it. It's just you need to activate it within yourself. Then all those other people are saying, no, it's over here. Well, of course they're going to do that because they want to exist. But then when they can't do that anymore, they don't exist. Of course they're going to react in some way because their whole existence is threatened by an individual saying, here is the way.
It's such an amazing point, and it resonates a lot with me as well. I was mentioning that not a long time ago, is that all this journey within ourselves and introspection and realization, at the end of the day, I love that you have a coffee, for example. I love that you're an actor. I love that you're actually doing stuff. Because maybe it's my reality, probably it is. People that have crossed along my way, not only, fortunately, but mainly during this time when I was in my feminine energy, they love talking about spirituality. This word is in their mouth non-stop. And as beautiful as it may be, I feel like it's a bit like running in circle. It's not like a spiral. It's the opposite of the spiral. It's a circle. And like, yes, let's all be amazing together, being amazing together. And what? I believe that let's express that amazingness. Create a coffee, paint, sing, dance, whatever you love. It can be opening a company, like I did. It's to connect with people in a way, organize event, whatever you love. But use it. Otherwise it's in Spain they call it falsa luz. It's like fake light. You have a power, you develop it, you're aware of it now, and then what? So let's express ourselves. Let's talk a bit more. Let's dance. Let's sing. Let's create. It's abundant. There's so much, and at the end of the day, it's a beautiful game because everyone loves, and at the same time, everyone kind of don't care. It's a beautiful mix between the two duality. It's like, guys, that podcast I talk about, I poop myself. The previous one I talk about the Ayurvedic technique to drink a bit your pee in the morning. I drink a bit my pee in the morning.
Oh, that's a thing. I was judging myself before, but
so I brought you a little bit.
I thought that was flowers, but
welcome to Dior's Cafe.
I'm not even surprised. You're peeing flowers. This is incredible.
Exactly. It's after the third revelation, you start to pee flower. But no, and it's like, I experiment stuff. I play with stuff and with myself and my body and my beings around me, and we have a lot of fun. We create a lot. We make mistakes on the way. We learn from it, but we create smile. I see couple forming. I see friendship forming. I see business partners forming. We have our first tribe baby. My company is called Tribe. Baby coming up.
Nice.
That's basically a couple that met at our event. And we have another one on the way, but we will have to wait a few more months.
A tribe baby, somebody who met
baby.
is having a baby.
They've met at our event, they're going to have a baby.
We got a new Earth baby just appeared as well.
Does they meet here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he met himself here. Does that count?
Wait, I don't follow you. I don't... What type of baby? It's a new type of baby?
Well, it's a man-woman that created within himself. No, I'm just kidding. He's...
After 3 hours of podcast, I have no second layer. I take everything as it is. I take absolutely each word as if it was the ultimate truth. So let's be very careful about what you say because I'm going to write it down in my journal like something that I have to follow in the morning.
No, well, yes, it wasn't. He didn't meet his partner here, but he met himself here. You see,
okay.
Is what I'm talking about.
Is it the mantra that I have here? Wait. No, not this one. I have
the kimono.
Yeah, I have kimono.
This is from Marjorie, right?
Yes.
This is the one we have in our
This one has
self-love store. I have to take you to the self-love store we have next door.
Please, yes.
Yes, we'll take because
this one has
is
no
the one I
mantra,
was actually thinking of getting.
Mantra.
Wonderful
ones. Like I love it.
They're really good. They suits you, mate.
And I was like this at the Fashion Week yesterday, actually. And compliment only. So it means that you can wear like a truck driver clothes.
Yeah, and then suddenly
You just wear that, and people are like, "Wow, you look fantastic." So
I'm gonna have to get myself one.
It's,
You've
worth
inspired me to shop at our own store, Self Love, where you can find Marjorie's products. So where were we?
I don't know. I swear, I don't know if it's 20 in the evening, 8 p.m. in the evening, or 3 p.m. in the morning. I have no idea. No, it's a pleasure to meet you, brother. Like, you know, I believe that this is creation. We are just two men meeting for a coffee and sharing your creation, sharing where we are at the moment. There is no judgment. We are just being who we are, and I'm sure there's a lot to talk about what all the bullshit we just have said and all the little gold nuggets that we have said as well. And accepting this is just for me pure bliss. So it's the best way to meet you, brother.
Brother, you are a beautiful soul. And I want to leave you one last question, right? If you were to make your life a movie, what kind of movie would it be?
It would be a hero story by Tarantino.
A hero?
A hero movie, like you know, when like realization, you fall down, and then the guy come back, and there's a comeback, and the guy finally has a solution of the quest that he had at the beginning, like the hero story line. But I want it Tarantino, Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. Sorry, I'm so French. Quentin, we say Quentin.
Quentin Tarantino. I literally wrote his name today in the book I'm writing. Random, very random.
Here we are.
So that's what Quentin Tarantino style.
It had to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how I will call it, but it could be something punchy. You know, one of the value of our company is rock and roll. We have to stay rock and roll. We have to make mistakes. It has sometimes to be on the edge. It has, with drops of it, of course, but it has to still be a bit there. In the yin, there is a bit of yang. In the yang, there is a bit of yin. We need it. It's very important. And we are pretty good at it, so all good. Life goes on.
My man. Colourful. I love it.
Alex, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Well done, brother.
Great.
Thank you.
We see each other again.
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. I think there's going to be a part 2, 3, and 4
Anytime.
coming soon.
With pleasure.
Much
Tomorrow.
love. Why not? Actually, tonight.
Actually, let's do it.
Let's carry on, shall we? That's all, folks. Much love. Tuning out. Thank you so much for checking out the New Earth Studios. We're interviewing people just like you. And as you click subscribe, we get to grow and expand and potentially take this concept to a community near you. So what you're subscribing to isn't just a channel, you're subscribing to ultimately the New Earth. What does that mean for you? For us, it's bringing about duality back into equilibrium so that we all live from a place of love. So when you click on that button, say to yourself, I am worthy of love, because you are. Thank you for checking us out. Much love. We vibe when you subscribe.